my blood. I saw that.
By clicking the link in the stream's description. The professor wants to hear from you.
Beginnings on the cusp. Not too old to adjust. Old dog, new tricks. Remember, I was just a pup. Something dirty in my cup. Clean soul, good car.
Isn't it lovely? I ain't looking back and focus on what's in front of me. Everybody dates a number, but I'm still here luckily. I know that God got me, so I'm in good company. Isn't it lovely?
Welcome, and thank you for joining me today. I am Professor Bear, and this is A Bear's Thought. And today, my show is sponsored by, yes, I have a sponsor corner. They like your boy, they do. First, we're going to talk about Nirvana Comics. They are a great place. If you're in the comic books like your professor is, they have some of the best quality comic books there are in East Tennessee. And they have a subscription box where you can sign up online. They will mail it to you. And you get 25% off of that. And it's free if you go order more than $30 or more. So check them out. My second sponsor is Tag Team Toys and Collectibles. Again, Professor is a big nerd, and I have one of my cane ones that hopefully one day he will sign. But if you're looking for great stuff from wrestling, this only happens when I have big guests, and y'all know this. If you're into toys and collectibles, Tag Team Toys and Collectibles in Clinton, Tennessee is the place to go. And my third and final sponsor is Chops, Cards and Print on Demands. If you were like me as a kid, you collected baseball cards, football cards, wrestling cards, all of that. And you had a dream that you wanted to have your own card. Well, like Professor, man, that's too much work. I didn't want to do that. But Chops has made it perfect that I can get my own collectible card. They do some of the best works, look so professional. And if you tell them that you know the professor and use the discount code BEAR15, 15% your entire purchase. So check them out. That's Chops, Cards, and Print on Demands. Now, tonight's special guest, because all my guests are special, this one is another big name. He has been with some of the great legends in this business. You can name him, he probably worked with him. He is a Memphis legend, a WWE legend. Let me introduce Harvey Whippleman, aka Downtown Bruno. Sir, how are you doing today?
I am wonderful. I was so excited to be on this great podcast. I've heard nothing but great things about it. And it's funny, you're a professor. I'm a professor too. I got a BS, an MS, and a PhD.
Yep.
Everybody knows what BS means. MS means more or same, and PhD means piled high and deep. So, baby, let's rock and roll and have fun with this. I know we will. And I'm going to tell you, I've got zero social media. None. Zero. None. But my dear friend who's from East Tennessee or lives there, he's from Memphis, but he lives in Kingsport. My dear friend, Dangerous Dan Matthews, who runs Net Pro Studios Wrestling School in Kingsport, Tennessee. He's got a Facebook page called Downtown Bruno Bookings and Appearances. So if you want to go ahead after this and send this link to him, he will put that on that Facebook page and everybody can watch this at their leisure. I mean, you can still go back and look at this later, right?
Yes. Oh, yes, sir.
Yeah. So make sure you send it to Downtown Bruno Bookings and Appearances Facebook page. And again, my good friend Dan Matthews runs that, and all the people a lot of people look at that page. So a lot of people will be able to be introduced to your great broadcast, not just the week that I'm on, but they'll know it for the future, and it's good for everyone.
Yes, sir. I tell you, it's been an amazing journey for me to start as a podcaster to be to this point to actually get to talk to legends. And actually, there have been questions and things I always wanted to know. And I think one of the first, generally, I have a first question, but I'm going to save it. I want to know, is Jerry the King Lawler the sweetheart that he seems to be?
Say it again. I'm sorry. For some reason, I couldn't hear what you said.
Is Jerry the King Lawler the sweetheart of a man that he seems to be?
Oh, my God, yeah. He's my mentor in the business. I mean, I would literally die for him. That man gave me my break in this business. I was in the business a few years before he and I got together, 3 or 4 years. But he shot my career to the moon. I owe a lot of people over the years that helped me. A lot of people were good to me. But the ones that started my career and gave me my break, there's 3 people that began my journey. It was a guy named Dale Mann, who used to have an organization called Mid-Continental Wrestling based out of Jamestown, Kentucky. Rocky Johnson, who made me a manager, and Lawler, who gave me my break. So those are 3 guys. Well, Dale Mann made me a manager, but Rocky catapulted it. He brought me to Hawaii, brought me to my first major organization. So, yeah, Lawler's a wonderful person. He's taught me everything when I was breaking in. And there's even a meme, I think that's how you say that word, meme, whatever, yeah, about when I was first starting out in the business, I thought my name was Dumb MRFer because that's what Lawler used to tell me every night. But then he would expand on it and explain to me why, and I'd learn from it. But yeah, Lawler's a wonderful person. Wonderful. I owe him my career. I really do. I mean, a lot of people helped me over Dale Mann, like I said, Rocky Johnson, and people after that. But my God, if it hadn't been for Lawler, I'd be dead or in prison right now because I got no education and I don't have to do nothing else but cut grass, drink beer, eat chicken wings, and wrestling.
That's not a bad combination at all, though.
And by the way, you're up in East Tennessee. Are you in Knoxville or are you in Knox County? Or?
Yeah, I'm actually Knoxville.
I love Knoxville. Anytime, whenever I'm in Knoxville, I always stay up in, I think it's Blount County. Right. I always stay up in Alcoa, near the Knoxville airport. The only problem with that is that daggum highway that goes up from I-40. When you try to cross over to get off on it, it is so congested. It sometimes takes you 20 minutes just to pull out of a service station or something. But besides that, I always stay in Alcoa. It's instead of being in the hustle and bustle of down Knoxville or near Cedar Bluff and all that. It's up kind of out of the way near the airport. I like East Tennessee, and one of my really good friends, as you know, Glenn Jacobs, Kane, is the mayor of Knox County. So, I love it because he'll help me out. The other week I was driving through there. I threw a dead body out of the trunk of my car, and the cops got me. But I called Glenn, and he got it reduced down to littering.
Oh, wow. So you talked a little bit about getting your start in the business. What year did you start?
1979.
And how were you able to get into the business? Because especially back then, I know it was a lot harder to get into the wrestling business.
It really was. Let me tell you what happened. I was at a fair in West Virginia, right in the tri-state area, West Virginia, Ohio, Pennsylvania, that little area. Right. There was matches there at a fair. And Dale Mann, his organization, Mid-Continental Wrestling, was having matches there at the fair. I didn't have no money. I was 14 years old. I mean, I was basically in poverty. But I rode over there because a guy I knew had something to do with putting something together at the fair. I don't remember what. It's been almost 50 years ago. But, he was something to do with putting up the risers or the midway or something. Anyway, I just rode over with him for something to do. And I was walking all around there having matches inside this tent. And I walked in to just look at him. And a guy says, this ain't part of the fair. If you're going to come into the matches, you got to pay $5. I didn't have $5 back then. That was like a fortune, And I said, oh, man. Well, the guy that was sitting near him or standing near him said, well, we need somebody to help us take down the ring, load the ring on the trailer after the matches are over. If you promise to stay and help us take down the ring and load it up, I'll let you come in, for free. I said, oh, man, yeah. About that time, the guy I rode with came and said, all right, I'm through with all I got to do. Let's go. I said, I can't leave. I done promised these people, I'm going to work well, I'm leaving. You either come with me now or you're going to find another way back to your mom's house. And I said, well, I gave my word. I can't. And that's how my career started. So I didn't have no way back. I had no money to get nowhere. I don't know what I would have did. And they said, we're moving on to Ohio. We're moving on to wherever. They ended up finishing up the tour at the fair. They were doing a fair run. They ended up finishing up the tour in South Dakota. Wow. And I rode with them all the way. That was my start in the business.
Wow.
They were paying me $15 a day, feeding me. And hell, I was in heaven. So after that tour was over, then they would start running their regular matches around Kentucky, West Virginia, Ohio, and whatever. And I wanted to be a manager so bad. I mean, so bad. And I thought back then when I was so brand new that all a manager had to do was yell at the people and call them stupid rednecks and look at you, you're ugly and stupid. And so I wasn't even smart to the business. So I'm at ringside managing a guy, and the referee leans over and says, okay, when the good guy hits the ropes, trip him. I said, son of a bitch, I'm not going to do that. That guy will kick my ass. I'm not going to trip him. Obviously, as we know now that the business is an open secret now, he was calling us high spot. Well, I didn't know. So the guy hit the ropes on my side. Hell, the guy got him Joe Cagle. And he's a great guy, but I didn't know. He hit the ropes on my side. I stepped back. I didn't trip him. He took the bump anyway, and it just killed the whole atmosphere or whatever. Finally, Dale Mann realized I didn't know what the F I was doing. So they hooked me up with a guy named Newton Tatrick, Guido Mongol. They sent me over there, and I ended up being his ring boy. And that was in return for him training me to the business, teaching me the business, smarting me up to the business, teaching me how to be a manager, showing me how to take bumps, showing me how to work, lock up, everything. Even though I was never going to be the next John Cena, or back then, I guess, the next Jerry King Lawler or whatever. They wanted me to learn all aspects of the business. So Dale Mann hooked me up with Guido Tatry, Guido Mongol. That's how I learned the business. And from there, Since you asked me how it started, I'll just give you the trajectory. So then I ended up getting where I met Jonathan Boyd, who was one of the Kiwi sheep herders, one of the Royal Kangaroos. Right. And he helped me get booked in Kansas City. And they had me there as working on the ring and refereeing, which I learned how to referee. And I was, a pretty good referee, still am really to this day. But I wanted to be a manager so bad. So Bob Geigel let me manage a little bit, but he didn't have the entertainment style. He was old school, great guy. I love Bob Geigel. I had to sit in a chair at ringside in the corner. And if I was involved in something, I'd get up and do it, go sit back down. Oh my God, I didn't like that. It wasn't, I didn't what I wanted to do. I knew I had much more to offer than that. Well, Rocky Johnson did too, because he said, man, they're wasting you here. You can really get over. A little guy like you, he goes, how about I book you in Hawaii? I'm going to take over the book, and I'm going back there in 2 weeks or whatever. Kept his word. Brought me to Hawaii. So here's a little bastard, born in West Virginia, lived a few years of my life young in the greater Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania area. My home is in Northwest Mississippi, the Mississippi Delta, 90% of my life. And I'm going to Honolulu on their dime to get paid. So that's how it all started. And when I was in Honolulu, Memphis is my home area, Northwest Mississippi, Memphis. All I ever wanted to do, that was big time then. The Memphis territory was big time. And that's all I ever wanted to do was be in the Memphis territory. But I wasn't ready. And plus there wasn't, no spot there for me. And I realize now I wouldn't have been doing anybody any favors, including myself, going there when I wasn't ready. Right. Well, Lawler came to Hawaii and he loved the way I managed. He asked Rocky, hey, why don't you let that little guy manage me tonight against the guy that I'm working with and see how it goes? And Rocky said, sure. Lawler loved it. Long story short, if it's possible at this point, booked me in Memphis, pushed the hell out of me, and my career took off from there. So that's, Dale Mann to Rocky Johnson to Jerry King Lawler. That's what gave me my life.
So, had a quick question from a fan. Want to know, what is your favorite beer?
One that somebody else buys for me.
Oh my God! See,
no, but I drink Bud Light, Coors Light, Miller Light, Natural Light. I'm not one of them fancy ones. I just drink the regular stuff, and I don't drink beer except at night. I never start before 6:30 p.m. and I never drink on them when I'm working. I never drink and drive, but that's all I got. I don't smoke weed. I don't take drugs. I don't use any performance enhancing anything. I don't drink liquor, wine, whiskey. Just drink my beer at night. That's my relaxation.
And nothing's wrong with that. You're an adult male. You're over the age. Do what you like to do. That's my philosophy.
There you go. As long as it's not hurting somebody else.
That's it. That is definitely it. So, everything that you've done in Memphis, again, the first time I remember seeing you was in Memphis, and I always thought, how the hell did this little guy keep doing this and they haven't broken him in half yet? What's going on? Your style was such incredible. And one thing that really irritates me, again, I'm a historian somewhat, that you do not get the credit for being the manager that you deserve. Easily in the top 10 of managers.
Well, thank you. It means a lot to me coming from you, and it always means a lot. I've got a plaque on my wall over here of the top. This is from the World Wrestling Federation before it was WWE. That put out the top 25 managers of WWF managers of all time. And I'm like in the top 15. That means a lot to me coming from the major leagues of this, profession that we're in. That means a lot to me. Certain things. First of all, let's just be truthful. these guys like your Meltzers and all them, oh my God, who cares? They're not paying me. I think my biggest tribute, not that these Meltzers and these Wade Kellers, these other people ain't give me all this credit. What it is, I get a check every week. I'm paying my bills from this. That's my tribute. I'll be damned. You know, it's funny. I knew we were going to do this tonight, so I had this printed out on the internet. Somebody put out, I don't know if you can see it, should Harvey Whippleman be in the Hall of Fame? And it's funny. You look at the voting. 55% of the responders said yes. 14% said maybe, but others deserve it first. Another 16% said probably not, but it wouldn't be the end of the world. And then 14% said no way. So the 14% is probably my ex-wife voting many, many times. So, but 55%, you know.
See, I think people, because where I grew up being in Knoxville, I'm a Southern wrestling junkie. So I knew when you went up to the WWE, I'm like, okay, that's Downtown Bruno. I know him. Okay, you had your name changed, but I knew who you were. You did so much creatively in the business, and people, I think a lot of times we have a tendency to looking over people who do so much and don't scream me, me, me.
Right. Yeah. And, but enough about Diamond Dallas Page.
I love your enthusiasm. After all this time being in the wrestling business, I've never heard a bad word about you.
Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
I've seen you in so many different things but everybody has respect for you. And I think a lot of people, the younger demographic, learned about you from the Young Rock show. And they had no idea because, like I said, you're so humble and you just go with the flow. And a lot of people, if you want to be on top, you got to toot your own horn. You got to suck up to this person, do this with this person. Again, I've never heard anyone have a bad word for you or talk negative about you. And that's
I want to thank you for that. And I appreciate that. You know, honestly, I never wanted to toot my own horn. All I ever want to do was show up, take what I'm given, do what I'm told. If I have a problem with something, I discuss it in private with the individual that is in charge of me or whatever, explain, you know, why I feel I shouldn't do this or whatever, but that's very few and far between. It's never about, I don't want to put somebody over. I don't want whatever. I don't want to manage this guy. I don't like him. No, it's like they want me to do something that I'm either going to hurt myself or hurt the guy I'm working with, or maybe just screw up the match because I'm not capable of, you know what I mean? Yeah. I'm very good about that. But as far as just the business, when I was young to the business, I learned just to ask questions, listen. And if somebody explains something, and I say this to young guys today when I give them advice, like when I was young in the business, I learned this. Don't ever say, yeah, but. When somebody explains something to you, well, Bruno, you should have did this, is, yeah, but. That's like saying, I know more than you. No, I said, okay, can you explain to me why? Learn. You know, it can be like Bill Dundee would just tell you, you're a stupid son of a bitch, or Tojo Yamamoto, who I love, you're a stupid son of a bitch. Why? Because you're stupid. Goodbye. I'm dumber now than I was before you told me I was a stupid son of a bitch. How about saying, just like Lawler did, you stupid son of a bitch? Don't ever do that. Why is that, King? Here's why. And I would learn from it. That's why I try to teach these young guys today. But I tell them, as soon as you say, yeah, but, I tell them one time, no more yeah, but, or that's it. Don't ever say yeah, but. I've been doing this 46 years. I've forgotten more than some guys will ever know. And that ain't because I'm so smart. It's because I was like a sponge. I absorbed from good teachers. And I never screwed nobody over in my time in the business. And I appreciate you saying that everybody was talking highly of me, because I've tried to make that happen, because the vast majority of the guys in our business are good guys. There's only a few. I know he's dead now, but I don't care. There's only a few Vaders. He was a horrible, horrible, absolutely disgusting individual. He was a liar. He was a bully. He stunk. He was a troublemaker. He was an asshole. I'm sorry. I'm sorry he's dead. God bless him. Hope he found the Lord. I have nothing positive to say about his death. So I want everybody to understand that. But he lied on me. He tried to bully me. He treated me like shit. And I can't forgive that. And if he'd have came to me later and apologized or something, then maybe we could have discussed. But he didn't. He left this earth. God bless him. Way too early. But I learned, don't treat people like shit. Never. I don't do it.
That should be a life lesson for everybody, because you never know when you got to go right back over that bridge.
Right. And you know what? You very, 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 very seldom will hear anybody in our profession that ever met Vader say anything good about it. You're very seldom. And when the fans go on these different things and say, oh, he was the greatest big man ever, I guess they never seen Bam Bam Bigelow or Crusher Blackwell or King Kong Bundy. Okay? Vader was far from the he was you don't believe me? Ask Shawn Michaels.
So you brought up talking to the younger generation, and that made me think, how do you feel about wrestling today?
Well, Gordon Soley told me this many, many, many years ago, and he's right. There's only one constant in the wrestling business, and that's change. Okay? It's a change. It's evolved. It ain't the business I broke into. I probably couldn't have broke into it the way it is now, because I can't memorize something a guy that used to write for, Search for Tomorrow or whatever, besides I should say. You know what I mean? I talk more shit than an $8 radio in a thunderstorm without anybody telling me what to say. I couldn't do that. I couldn't memorize spot A, spot B, spot C in the match. I can't do it. That's the way these guys are trained now. It's the way they're brought in. It's not my business. It's a different business now. I'm still in it, and I'm holding on. They call me, like when I go to these conventions. Oh, it's a Legends convention. No, it's a washed up convention. I'm washed up, and I know it. I don't give a damn, because people want to come out and see us washed up guys, and that's fine. But I don't have an ego. I'm not a legend. I'm washed up. But I'm still in the business. So
you know what? I will sit here and argue with you. You are a legend. There's no way everything you have accomplished, it's disrespectful to you. And hell, if I heard someone say it, I would be mad and probably say something to them. Again, we like whoever you're gonna like, but there is a thing about respect. Respect your elders, and respect, because if it wasn't for you all paving the way, we wouldn't have what we have today. And a lot of young talent do not understand that. I'm going to be this. I'm going to be making billions of dollars. I'm going to be the next Rock. I'm going to do this. You don't know headlock from your asshole.
Right.
And learn. And like you said, just sometimes shut up and listen. Then if you have a question, ask the question in the right way.
I agree, because you know what? That's why God gave us one mouth and 2 ears and 2 eyes. Observe, listen, then talk, not the other way around. I agree with you, man. But there's a lot of great talent in this business to this day. And a lot of them, 90% of them, 99% of them, 100% of them started. They weren't even born yet when I started, I'm trying to say, most of them. I'd say 100% of them. But some of these guys, I will tell you this, without a doubt in my mind, and I'd stand to argue with anybody. Randy Orton right now is probably the number one greatest performer in our business today, bar none. He is above and beyond anyone in this profession. No doubt. And there's a lot of great guys in WWE. I'm not degrading any of them. Randy is the most solid athlete, the most fluid, the most everything. And, you know, he is like a throwback. And if you notice, okay, we're talking about the business today. And again, I'm not knocking it. That's what the business is. But all this jumping around and I'll do this move and you do that move and we'll both do the same move at the same time. We'll flip over and blah, 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 whatever. It looks, you know, the choreography, let's say, but that's how the business is now. But if you look at the guys that drew the big money, not just now, but all through the years, there were never the flip-flop jump whatever guys. You had your Mick Foley that took the crazy bumps, one of my dearest friends. He wasn't a flip-flop, I'll jump over you, then you jump over me, whatever. Look at Undertaker, Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, Dusty Rhodes, Roddy Piper, Hulk Hogan, for Christ's sake. None of these guys was boom, 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 boom. And you know what? If you didn't know wrestling was predetermined, and I showed you a match on video of, let's say, Jerry the King Lawler against Nick Bockwinkel, Pedro Morales against Don Morocco, Greg Valentine against Roddy Piper, and you didn't know wrestling was predetermined, and I showed you, just for example, those three matches, you still wouldn't know it was predetermined because you can't pick it apart. And I can give you a lot of names: Harley Race, Dusty Rhodes. Oh my God, I can sit here until we're blue in the face about the guys that you would never know. The Magnificent Morocco, Jesus Christ, he was one in a million.
That's another person that is not talked about enough. Again, I love The Rock. The Rock is amazing, but to me, when I hear the name Rock, is The Rock is the Intercontinental title. When I grew up, he was the bearer of the Intercontinental title. Him and Ricky Steamboat. Him and Tito Santana. I can watch that match today because they put on such a great wrestling match.
Right. I tell you what, I encourage everybody out there to Google on YouTube Pedro Morales versus the Magnificent Morocco. Those matches, I'm telling you, you cannot pick it apart and say, oh, I can tell that's a work. I guarantee you watch Jerry the King Lawler against Nick Bockwinkel, same thing. These matches were A1, number one, perfect. Greg Valentine against Piper, the dog collar match, unreal.
And again, I love that you have people that's in the business that keep bringing it up so their legends won't die. There are so many people that deserve more than what they get in this business. And again, no disrespect to any of the Hogans, the Piper, but there were so many different other wrestlers that did so much for the business that never get crap, nothing, barely gets mentioned. And a lot of times I think to myself, that's such a sad thing. But then I think, hey, I got a big mouth. I'm pretty knowledgeable. Let me give the fans something to look at and get them to think. Again, a lot of times I have discussions about wrestlers and certain matches, and I always catch myself going back to the 80s and to the 70s. And it's like, why do I do that? Is it just because I just love that era? Or is it that I think they actually put on where at time you couldn't tell? Like you said, you couldn't tell me that was fake. When the Road Warriors busted Dusty Rhodes up on TV, Dusty is bleeding. It would have took a lifetime to convince me that he didn't do it.
Right. Hey, back then we believed in ourselves. We worked ourselves into a shoot. This is why we had to. Because let me tell you, I'm the nicest guy in the world, but when I was a heel, downtown Bruno was the biggest jerk in the world. And that's the thing. I knew how to separate fact from fiction.
Right.
You know, and when I was out in public and somebody walked up to me, hey, ain't you downtown Bruno? I didn't get away from me. You're no good. No, I was like, I did the cocky. Yeah, I sure am. You recognize me because I'm so handsome, whatever. And I kept the persona, but you don't want to be a mark for yourself and curse the people out like Tojo used to do and different ones. That just ain't the way I conducted my business, And I love the profession. The worst year of my career ever was 1988. It was awful. I wasn't getting used right. Business was down. I was just, as the closest I ever came to quitting the business, 1988. I wasn't making any money. Things were going bad. I wasn't getting used right. I wasn't getting booked properly. But then it picked up again. Eddie Gilbert took over the book in Memphis. Lawler had took a leave of absence, so another guy was doing the booking, and we've made friends since then. Something like I mentioned his name, but he was using me like crap. Things were just going really bad. Eddie Gilbert started using me good again, and things went back up. Not long after that, I went to work for the World Wrestling Federation. So, we all have had low points in our careers or our lives, and that was, 88 was, it's funny. I have satellite radio in my truck. And when I rent a car to go out of town, I was listening to the station of the 80s on 8 because I love the 80s music. When certain songs from 1988 come on, I have to turn the channel or just turn it off because it brings back memories that during the worst time of my life, 1988 sucked. It sucked.
It is amazing that you say that because 88 sticks out for me for a few different reasons. One, I remember the Great American Bash, Luger versus Ric Flair. And I knew Luger had won that title, and the commission disqualified Luger for bleeding. I remember Bruiser Brody getting killed, and that just really bugged me, especially as a kid. There was no way in my mind that somebody was tough enough to stop Bruiser Brody.
Right. It's funny. As long as I've been in the business, I never met him.
Really?
I never met him. As long as I've been in the business, I never met him. But I mean, still, I wasn't happy. I wasn't ambivalent. Just because I didn't meet him, I still didn't like the fact that a guy like him that was an icon in our profession, was killed. It'd be bad enough if he died of a car accident or natural causes or, but still that really blew my mind. And like I said, it's a guy I didn't even know.
Yeah. I mean, I would challenge someone who was in the wrestling business at that time who could honestly say that Bruiser did not touch them some form or fashion. I mean, again, anytime when people talk about hardcore matches, I'm like, you want to see a hardcore match? Go look at Abdullah the Butcher. Go look at Bruiser Brody. Go look at Dusty Rhodes. Go look at Terry Funk. Those are hardcore matches. And I get, and a lot of times too, we don't like change. It's not that we things are worse. We're just focused on what we think is the best. And I think I look at that in wrestling, in music, in television. We just have that as humans. When I think about something, where does my mind go? It goes to this particular time because that music or that event or whatever. So we're just accustomed to doing that, I believe.
Yeah, I'm hip, and I'm a child of the '80s. I was born in the '60s, been in the business since the late '70s. April 1979. And yeah, the 80s is where other than 1988, I love the 80s. But that for some reason that year, I was being booked bad. I wasn't making no money. I was struggling really bad, but I didn't have a plan B. I just had to stick it out. So I'll give Eddie Gilbert credit for helping me. I'll give Lawler credit for keeping me going, Eddie Marlin. And, I got back on track, but yeah, it was a rough year. 88 was a rough year.
That's another person that does not get the credit, talked about, or understood this business better than 70% of the wrestlers, I would say. Eddie Gilbert.
Oh my God. He breathed, slept wrestling, and he knew more about wrestling than anybody I know. I mean, I'm dear friends with Doug Gilbert, his brother. We talk on a regular basis. I was very good friends with Tommy Gilbert, the dad of them. And yeah, Eddie was a great guy, very, very smart to the business. And I really enjoyed all my time with him. And he used me well when he used me. He used me very well. So God bless him. I was at his funeral. I've been to too many funerals. I was at Eddie Gilbert's funeral, Sid's funeral, Christine Jarrett's funeral, just Brian Christopher's funeral. Too many. I couldn't make it to Hogan's because it was literally like almost not even a week after he passed away. It was too late to make arrangements. I was invited. I was one of the honored ones that was invited, but I just wasn't able to make it, unfortunately. So I sent an arrangement and everything. But yeah, that's Luna Vachon, who I love very much. I hate when she died. I talked to her the day before she died. That made it even harder.
Yeah, I can just imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that's the one thing about life. If we're not guaranteed anything else, we are going home. It's just when he decides to take us there.
Amen. And I'm 100% God believing, God fearing, God loving Christian man. And if anybody else, doesn't agree, feel that way or doesn't believe, that's fine. That's their prerogative. But
right.
I always say, even though I know I'm not wrong, I always use this analogy. If I'm wrong, oh well. But if you're wrong, you're in a hell of a lot of trouble. So I'd rather err on the side of caution. But hey, I'm friends with people that don't believe in God, and I don't stop my friend. Now, the only people I won't deal with in life, if somebody says they're a Satan worshiper, because what you're saying that you can't believe in Satan if you don't believe in God. So if you say you're a Satan worshiper, that means you believe in God, but you reject him for evil. I got no use for that person, whoever it is. That's a big difference. If you don't believe, right, you don't believe. But if you believe and reject for evil, you're a sorry son of a bitch. You're Hitler. You're Saddam Hussein. You're Osama bin Laden. Whatever.
Right. So this is kind of funny to me because I was doing some cleaning up in my as I call this, the bear cave.
Right.
I ran across this. And I thought to myself, because again, I was and am a big wrestling fan. I'm a mark, but I know how to control my markness when I meet people. I know how to be respectful. I ran across this and I fell out laughing.
Complete Idiot's Guide to Pro Wrestling. That's something. That's probably how I started out.
The reason why I found this funny is I love to give history lessons. I love to get these young guys and girls who's in the business a chance to make a name for themselves and everything. But I heard one particular person, and I don't care to mention his name because he's an ass, is Vince Russo. He made a comment about a wrestler. a referee, matter of fact, and he said, "Oh, she's a DI, a DEI hire. They need to fire her." That pissed me off. Then
Was it about the girl that did the stutter count on that one match?
yes.
Well, see, I disagree with Vince Russo saying that. And I would be totally honest with you. I always got along great with Vince Russo. I had a great relationship with him. That being said, the girl is still green as the grass on the ground. Okay. She knew what the finish was supposed to be. Now, a guy like me that's been in the business 40 years plus knows if the person don't kick out, it don't matter what the finish is, they're going to get the heat, not, the referee. She didn't know that. She was probably scared to death that she was going to get blamed for screwing up the finish. That being said, just because she happened to be African American, would Vince Russo have said that if she was a white girl? You know what I mean? I can't speak. I can't speak for his. I can't speak for his thought process. I can't be in his head. And again, I'm not. I always got along good with him. On the other hand, he shouldn't have said that simply because of the race factor.
Exactly.
They hired her, and I don't, know nothing about her. I never even met her. Obviously, other than that huge mistake, which it was a huge mistake. I'm not going to by any means defend that, but obviously she didn't make any huge mistakes before that, because if she would have, she wouldn't have been in that position on I guess that was a premium live event, I believe, which they used to call.
It was a SmackDown.
Well, it was a Smack. Okay, I'm sorry, but bottom line is, yeah, she screwed up. Should she have been fired? No. But if she continues to do that, well, I don't care if she's white, black, or green. If you can't do the job, I don't give a damn what color you are or whatever. But yeah, that was a little bit uncalled for. I didn't know he said that, but yeah, that's I would not agree with that.
And here's my thing. Generally, and I know why he said it. He said it to enrage people like me. He wants to get the click on his show, and that's all fine and dandy. But my philosophy is be careful what you say, because what we say on this media lives forever, and you never know what the old saying: "What comes around goes around." And
yeah, you know what? You're right. You're right. But let me tell you something, Professor. Here's the thing that bothers me. And what you just said triggered this. You're right. Whether it's on the air, on the media, what TV, podcast, whatever, it lives forever. I agree. Here's what pisses me off. I'm the least racist person you ever meet in your life. Trust me when I tell you that. I don't have a racist bone in my body. Years ago, before everything became so politically correct, Downtown Bruno would be on Memphis television saying, "Rocky Johnson, you ought to be over here shining my shoes. Matter of fact, you ought to be picking cotton, blah, blah, blah," whatever. If I said that now, I'd be drummed out of the business. Guess what? Rocky Johnson's the one that would tell me, "Look, when you go out there and talk about me, say I should be picking cotton and shining your shoes and singing the blues and whatever." That's, people will look at something I said 40 years ago. These so-called smart marks that know every effing thing and don't know their ass from their elbow would, Downtown Bruno's a racist. Look what he said about this guy. Look what he said about that guy. I remember I said something once on Memphis TV about, I forget who it was, to be honest with you. It was somebody, quote unquote, stole the belt from my guy in the match. I said, "I didn't know you were Puerto Rican, you thief." And I mean, I'm not a racist against Puerto Ricans. That was just a way to get people angry. I don't mean it. Like if it was, how many times have I called Coco Ware? "Hey, boy, with your big old lips. Hey, boy," he's one of my best friends. Rocky Johnson's like a father to me, So, Jesus Christ, there's a difference. Now, if we're doing this right now, and I said something about, "Well, I don't think black people should be in the business," that's we're we're having a normal conversation. Yeah, that would be horrible.
Yes.
And do me a favor, everybody out there, don't clip that thing and put it out there that downtown Bruno said black people shouldn't be in the Professor, if they do that, you're going to back me up, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I was just about to say, if y'all clip that and put that out, you're going to be doing a bear hunt because the bear is going to come and get you. So don't do it. Don't do it.
Yeah. But that's my point. People take everything. It's the whole deal is trying to get heat. Okay, Rocky Johnson, you're no good. You're no good. You ought to be shot in my shoes, Rocky Johnson. You're no good. What happens in the end? He ends up beating me up at the end, and I get my comeuppance. It ain't like I say all that stuff and get away with it. I never. The bad guy never wins in the end.
Exactly. And I guess because I had somebody just say Vince Russo is living rent free in my head. In a way, yes, he is. Again, I get heat. I'm not saying that I know it all. I'm the smartest marker, none of that. But there are certain things, especially in this climate, that you do not need to say, because whether you really mean it or don't, you are dividing people to and everything is realer now. It'd be different if we wasn't having the issues we're having. And he said, okay, wouldn't have thought to nothing about it, wouldn't have cared. But in the climate we in, why in the world would you think that was cool to say? Again, I know you're Vince Russo. I know you like to get heat and stuff, but what happens if you get the wrong type of heat and then something happens because of your dumb comment? Because that's what.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. That's you don't say that. You know, he could have said the girl wasn't ready to be in a main event situation, or the girl's not good enough yet. She should have stayed in NXT, whatever. And here's the thing: these kids now, which I can call them kids because they are kids. What's that girl, probably 25 or whatever? I don't know. Here's the deal: we had the luxury. We didn't have to go to a training, a performance academy or whatever. Our training was being on the road, working the territories. I worked Memphis. I worked Hawaii. I worked Kansas City. I worked Dale Manns. I worked Louisiana. I worked, I can't even think of Knoxville, your place. I worked Continental, which was Birmingham. Yeah. I worked probably 50% of the territories. I never worked Minneapolis, Portland, Charlotte, or Georgia, or Tampa. I never worked the Texas territory, so that's 7 I never worked. But I worked, like I said, Dale Mann, Kansas City, Memphis, Knoxville, Alabama, Louisiana, WWF, Hawaii. So I worked 8 territories. There's probably another one I can't even think of, but I'm sure there is, but I can't remember. I don't even remember what I had for breakfast. But that's the thing. They don't have the luxury now of learning as you go and learning from the best. They're working with each other now. I was working with the best when I broke in.
Right. Jerry
the King Lawler, Rocky Johnson, Lars Anderson, Mike George, Pork Chop Cash, Phil Hickerson, Robert Fuller, Ronald Fuller, Bullet Bob Armstrong. I mean, I could go on till we're blue in the face. These guys I worked with, black and white.
Yes.
I learned from all of them. Junkyard Dog. Here's a guy that was a terrible worker, but he got over. He knew how to get over. It ain't because he was black. It's because he was a terrible worker, but he got over. Then you got white guys the same way. So there's terrible workers on both sides of the racial equation, but there's great workers with great minds. I never worked for or with Ernie Ladd. I met him, but he was a hell of a mind for the business. I've heard that from everyone. Jerry Jarrett, I worked for years. What a good mind for the business. Lawler, unbelievable. Dutch Mantell, unbelievable. I learned a lot from Pork Chop Cash. I learned a lot from Rocky Johnson. I learned a lot from Rufus R. Jones, who was a great guy. Akio Sato, a Japanese guy. I learned a lot from him. Hell of a guy. I love that guy. He looked out for me, too. He always did when I was young to the business, So nobody should judge somebody on the DEI, because there was no such thing as DEI back then. And you know what? I'm going to tell you, there should not be a quota of, you got to have this many African Americans, this many white people, this many Hispanics, this many whatever, Asian. There shouldn't be. It should be the most qualified person for the job gets the job, whatever color, sexual orientation, whatever. I feel that way about life, not just wrestling. You know, if I had a plumbing problem in my house and there was two different plumbing companies that were going to come, one was a African-American group and one was a white group. Okay, the white guy's come with a cigarette in his mouth and he's dirty and nasty, his hat's on sideways and he's burping, and the black guy comes with a nice, plumber's outfit on or whatever. Well, I'm going to hire him. But yet, guess what? If it was the opposite, I'm going to hire the white guys. Exactly. Not because he's white, because he's not you're African American, as well as I do. There's goofs on both sides of the equation too.
Oh yeah, easily.
Yes. So, but I know we went off on a tangent here, but I don't care. I enjoy it. It's fun because it's the damn truth.
So, with that being said, I look at the business today, the indie scene, as a return to territorial ways. I think there's a lot of great indie promotions out there that are doing the territorial system, and I think it's doing real good for the guys and girls. Like you said, giving them a chance to learn and go to different places to hone their craft, to learn in front of different audience. How do you feel about the indies today?
Well, the ones I work, it's funny. It's like a hit and miss thing, because I get booked out all the time to go be a special referee or do a seminar or do whatever at these little places. Some of them are really good with good young talent that want to learn. And when I'm like the quote unquote legend that's there, they listen, they ask questions, they want me to watch their matches. That's great. But I go to some that they all know everything. They all look like the Survivor scene from Schindler's List, and they're in there, don't have a clue what they're doing, and they look awful, and they're just, I just shake my head, And I was at one guy, the guy was hitting the ropes completely wrong. I explained to him, you don't hit it straight backed, or you'll fall over backwards, and you could break your neck, or if the rope breaks or something. And he goes, yeah, but. I'll never forget it. He said, yeah, but so-and-so that trained me told me, that's how to do it. I said, what was his name? And he told me. This guy that never made his living in the business. I said, how could somebody that never made their living in this business train you to make a living in the business? And then I'll never forget, the promoter heard all this. He was in the back. He came out, pointed at me, and said, next time this guy tells you something, you just nod and smile. I'll never forget it. Meant a lot to me. But with the indie thing, the guys are, the only problem is when it's all the indie guys working together that never made their living in the business, you don't have nobody, unless I'm there, or Ricky Morton, or Doug Gilbert, or Tommy Rich, or whoever you want to name, is there. They get nobody to learn from. They're trying, they're getting the moves down, but they got nobody to learn from. Because it's great if you know how to do the moves, and I'm not going to sit here and lie to you or anybody else that I can teach you athletically how to do the perfect arm drag, the perfect slam. That's never been my thing in the business. But by God, I can tell you exactly when to do the move and why to do the move. And I see our friend Amy Berriman is reaching out to us right now. Hey, Amy.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of which, Amy had a question that I am supposed to ask you. I want to know.
Yes, I am the most handsome man that's ever been in the wrestling business. Oh, that wasn't it. I'm sorry.
No. She wants me to ask you about the old Sawmill Cafe.
I always go to the old Sawmill Cafe when I'm in when we have the matches in Wynne, Arkansas, which I'll be there December 13th. Amy, make sure you come down. But the last time we always ate there. The last time I went there, something didn't fit in my stomach right. I got the worst case of indigestion you ever seen in your life. So I probably won't return there this time. But that's where I first met Amy and her family. I guess it's her family, the people that were with her, but I always liked that place. But the last time it didn't sit right with me for some reason.
I want to thank you. And why I'm thanking you is not because you're just on my show. I want to thank you for being the legend that you are still out trying to make the business better. There's a lot of people that don't understand that they take this business lightly, and just as much as it's here, it could be gone in a heartbeat. But it takes people like yourself to keep going out there trying to teach and mentor these young guys and girls to keep the business alive and to have something to fall back on. And I'm a true believer that people need to get their flowers when they're here and not when you're gone. Not that you can't hear me, not that you don't be happy, but you're not here to be able to celebrate that and to get the love you deserve. So me, Professor Bear, I want to tell you thank you for everything. Again, I'm when I tell you I watch something, I watch something. I lived in Knoxville, so it was continental. It was
right.
Every now and then we get lucky, we could get some Memphis. If I went to Atlanta where my brothers and sisters live, I could get Memphis. I could get continental. I got Georgia championship before they came WCW, right before the NWA sold out. I know a lot of history, and for you, and I get why you do it, because you do something I do. You're just a humble human being that is appreciative of everything you got, and you look at what you've gotten as, hey, I just did this. It's not a big deal, but it is. And me and my fans want to thank you.
Well, I want to thank you for having me on here. You're a great guy, and I hope you'll stay in touch. I hope this ain't just a one-up. I think we've actually became friends now. I'd like to keep it that way, And absolutely, absolutely, you're a great guy, and I really enjoy this, and it's just been a great experience for me.
As I tell a lot of people when we talk, and I still get amazed when I'm out at wrestling event, people come up and talk to me that they follow my show and everything. I'm still amazed. But I tell them one of the biggest things for me, I never thought on God's green earth I could pick up my phone and have some of the legends of this business phone number in here and can call them my friends because they call me a friend. That's the biggest thing.
Well, I feel that way about you, and I'm proud that, hey, I'm just as proud that you reached out to me. I'm happy to be on here, and I would love to do it again sometime. I mean, it's great. And next time I come through Knoxville, by God, let's I hate, there used to be a Sonny's barbecue at the Cedar Bluff exit. It ain't there no more. It ain't been there in years. I used to always look forward to when I was driving that way to go to Sonny's barbecue, and it went away. So
I know. I was so mad when they got rid of Sonny's. I know right now the barbecue place, and it slips my mind that it's still on. Oh geez, my mind has went blank. But there's a good barbecue place. Next time you're in town, you get up with me. I would take you there.
Well, I mean, I'd love it, because what I do right at this point when I'm driving through there, now that I know Sonny's ain't there, I stop like 35 miles west of Knoxville at Kingston, Tennessee. There's a place called Buddy's Barbecue, and I always stop there. So now that you told me there's a place in Knoxville, next time I drive through, which I don't have anything scheduled up that way right at this point, but if I do, I'm going to take you up on it, because I'm a Memphis guy, so I judge barbecue very critically.
I definitely understand that. I definitely understand. Again, I thank you so much. Again, and a big shout out to Amy Berman. Uh, Amy is the driving force in WSN. She always likes to hide in the back. We always try to push up front to get the love and and all the credit she deserves. She is a true wrestling fan, and I love her.
Yes, great girl, great girl. Well, thank you, man. And after we hang up, let's talk for a minute. Can we still talk after tape is over? Okay. Yeah. So let's say farewell to the fans for now. And always remember, it's like Mama says, it bees that way sometimes.
Yes, sir. Guys, girls, thank you so much. And we'll be around the campfire again soon. And like I always say, 2 paws up.